Hello plant lovers and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be concentrating basically on the plants that I have in my living room, which is on the second floor, the middle floor of my townhouse, new townhouse. I've been here for 2.5 months now, and so I thought I'd share with you what I have in my living room. Just to remind you that all the windows in the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor, all the main windows are big floor-to-ceiling windows, and they all face south. Now, welcome back, and welcome to any new subscribers. There's been a few, and thank you very much for subscribing. And if you're watching right now and you're not a subscriber, please press subscribe now and press like. Helps me, costs you nothing. Gives me some stimulus to keep going with this channel. Anyway, just a reminder, my name is Bruno. I live in Lithuania in the northeast of Europe. We have a border to the north with Latvia, a border to the south with Poland, a border to the east with Belarus, two borders on the west. We have a border with the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad, and we have a sea border with Sweden. And right now the temperature is sort of like 2-3 degrees Celsius. So autumn, the fall, has really arrived. Anyway, don't forget, let me remind you that what I'm sharing on these videos is my personal experiences and my personal opinions. And that's the way it is. And I don't edit anything. What you see is what you get. No fuss, no frills. Okay? So it's sort of after 9 o'clock in the evening here. So I've got some of the lights on. If it's a bit glary, please excuse me. But otherwise you won't be able to see them. But I just had to do this video today, now, before one important thing changes. And I'll soon explain what it is. What I want to show you first is one of my new plants, and I have to read it. It's Euphorbia ingens variegata marmorata, which I got about a week to 10 days ago. Well, you're not going to be able to see it. It is huge, you know. Pooh. Big plant, variegated, which I like. I like the size of it, and it wasn't all that expensive, and it's normally sits on the third floor in my guest bedroom, which is also my Hoya room, are right on top of the radiator and right next to the south-facing window. In my old office, I had an ordinary green Euphorbia in a big pot on the windowsill by a south-facing window, and in an incredibly fast time, that plant grew to be ginormous. It was about 4.5 meters tall. To repot it or to move it, basically had to wrap the center of it in a thick blanket or a towel or something, so that you don't get pricked by the tiny little prickles that are on the edges. Anyway, I just couldn't resist it. I bought this locally. It wasn't expensive. I can't remember it. 30 odd euros. But for a plant this size, I would have been happy with a little thing about a pencil high to start with. But when I saw this for sale, I had to get it. Because it will produce side branches, which you can cut off, leave to dry for a couple of days, and then stick it in some soil. Don't water it for about a first couple of weeks, and I can give my friends some props. Anyway, that's the one I just wanted to show you first, because it's big, it's heavy, and it's sitting on my coffee table, because I'm sitting in a different position, sitting on a stool. So anyway, right now we're going to go on a tour of the living room. So just bear with me. Okay, I'm back. Now, sorry for the glare. This is Philodendron lemon lime. its actual vines actually reach the floor, but I've wrapped them around at the top, and it is in the furthest corner away from the southern facing window, and that's why it has a Sansi grow light on it. And down below is the new plant, the original one. Here's the little label that I wrote on it, and I'll never be able to pronounce this one. Ficus zamifolia. It's a ZC Black Raven, and as you notice, there's two. There's mama plant and there's a baby plant, but which was in that particular pot, in the nursery pot that it came in, and the pot was distorted. And when I took the plant out of the pot, I wouldn't really call them rhizomes. Each plant had what looked to me more like a big white potato. So I took one of them out and put it up in its little pot, and it might be a nice gift for someone. Now, that's it for that corner. Now, over here is my Anthurium arrow. I think it has a proper name somewhere. Here we are. Just a minute. It's an Anthurium. Oh God. Looks like Officerobolensi, but it's not normally known as an Anthurium arrow. This was one of the recommended unusual plants for people to try on Memo's channel, which is one of the 3 that I got out of the quite number that he showed. And I planted it straight up into pon. It's doing very well. It didn't go into shock. The leaves are looking beautiful. And this is its newest leaf, which was partially coming out when the plant arrived, in very, very good condition, bought locally, online. And all I have to do now is just put a layer of sphagnum moss on top of the pon, because I find that my anthuriums grow very well with sphagnum moss on top of the substrate, just to make sure that it doesn't dry out too quickly. But it's a beautiful plant. Now, the reason why I'm hurrying with making a video today is my Anthurium clarinervium. You've seen this before, and I did show you before its fluorescence. I actually bought this plant locally, and it already had this fluorescent with green berries. Now, as you see, the berries have turned orange, and the stem, or the petiole that the stem that the fluorescence was on, is turning yellow. So it's not sending anything else back to the fruit, and I presume that the fruit is now ripe. So I will be collecting the fruit probably tomorrow, extracting the seeds and putting them in my prop box. Now, as you can see, I've got this little net bag over it. Actually, this particular bag is always included with orders I get from Hoya, my gosh, Betsy Begonia. Usually there's some sorts of sweets or a little cake inside it, but I remember these little bags from Greek weddings in Australia, where they have candied almonds inside, which they give to their guests. But it's a perfect little bag. It's see-through. It allows the air to ventilate, etc., etc. And I'm sure now that this plant is finished with its fruit, and I don't know what it was pollinated with, because I bought the plant locally in a coffee shop and it already had the fluorescence with green fruit. But it's obvious the plant has finished sending any sort of energy and goodness up there, because it has just produced, and I have to be very careful when I touch the leaf, it's just pushing out a new leaf. I just don't want to touch it, because every time I touch one of the Anthurium leaves as they're coming out, I damage it, like this one here. I touched it when it was coming out, so boom. Another Anthurium that I have, which most people will remember up here on the 3rd floor, is this ginormous one. It's big. It's big, 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 because look, there's my hand down here. Oh, there's the leaf, and it's very, very leathery, and it loves this new spot that it's in, because it's like 2.5, 3 meters away from the south-facing window. Now, it is, as far as I've been able to know, is an Anthurium epilepticum, also known as a jungle king. It's a hybrid of some sort. I think it's one of its parents, if it's not actually a Anthurium hookeri, which is very rare to get these days, unless it's a clone or a variety of some sort. So that's what I could get it. And I got it in February 2023, locally from a little old lady. It had like 3 tiny little leaves. Well, for me, they were tiny compared to what it has now. But for her, it was too big. And the leaf in the very middle that's damaged from her big dog. That's one of the original leaves, which used to just wag its tail at this plant and tear the leaves. And I think I paid €10 for it, which I thought was very good. Now, another plant that I haven't probably not shown you before is a Schismata glottis, I think it's called. I love this plant. It's got beautiful coloring. And what I really love about it, it really does tell you when it's time to water it. Because sometimes in the morning when you wake up, all of these leaves are all drooping down. And that's it. Off they go into a bucket. I water it with filtered water, let it stand in the bucket for a good half hour to completely hydrate, and then put it back in the sink for all the excess water to drain out. And I quite like the pot it's in. I found this pot in the supermarket. It's sort of got a stand. Oh, I did see these pots in the supermarket for about €8 or €9, but because it's autumn, and nobody's thinking about buying pots and things like that, they were going out for €3 each. Now, here's some Aglaonemas. This one is an Aglaonema Crete, which is my most recent purchase. This is an Aglaonema Red Valentine, which I've had since about October last year. And this is an Aglaonema, I think it's called Super White. Well, that's obvious why it's called Super White. And they are about 2 meters away from the south-facing window. They will grow in a little bit less light. But this white one, of course, it needs light because it doesn't have a lot of green and not a lot of chlorophyll. Now, they've all been recently repotted into bigger pots. Now, this one was in a tiny little pot. And when I replanted it and I took it out, and please, anyone that's buying an Aglaonema, do check your plant. When I took it out of its nursery pot that it came in, the root ball was stuck in a plastic net pot, net plug, whatever. It was in a bigger nursery pot, but this plug pot was planted inside, and all of the main roots were constricted inside, with some of the roots growing out through the plastic netting. So I had to very, very carefully cut the net pot off. Okay, I lost 1 or 2 roots, but it's survived the transplant. It didn't go into shock, and it's doing extremely well. Here's another Aglaonema. This is a Silver Bay. This is actually from IKEA. It's growing well. It also tends to get slightly droopy leaves when it needs to be watered. But yeah, it's okay. Down here is my Ficus umbellata, which in my old apartment after I bought it had three stems and huge leaves, because it sort of means like an umbrella ficus. But little by little, all the leaves fell off until I decided to chop the tops off, and each of the stems produced 2 or 3 new stems, side branches. This is my very sad Strelitzia Nicolai. It started going wrong in my old apartment, but I'm persevering. I've transferred it to PON, and hopefully things will be okay. My Philodendron Birkin, which in one of my earlier videos, those that have watched it will remember, I bought this for about €3 in a supermarket in Poland during a day trip, and I quite like it. Now, here's my Philodendron silver sword, which I showed you last time, because it was right at the top of its pole, and I did a chop and prop, and I separated the plant at the joining of the two moss poles, and there was absolutely no reaction. Potted it back up. So because as this grows up and up and up, as you can see, the leaves are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And normally it's facing the other way around towards the window, and now it's got a little bit more room to grow. And as far as I'm aware, that this Philodendron silver sword is either extinct in the wild or it's more or less extinct. And we are keeping this species of plant alive in our homes and in conservatories and botanical gardens, etc. My Mandula pothos is on a grow thickly moss pole. It has actually attached, but it's growing very, very, very slowly. So, and here's another beautiful, beautiful plant. This is my Philodendron white wizard. I do like the white wizard better than the other one, and I forget what the other one is called. But once again, it also, as the leaves have gone up and up and up and up, they are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it also faces the window. Down here is my little oxalis. I've just brought it inside. It'll probably go dormant, but okay, don't mind. It'll go dormant, and then if it goes dormant, and then in the spring it'll go back outside into my patio. Now, here is my Ficus elastica shiveriana variegated. Now, if you remember, in my old apartment, the curtain rod with hanging plants on it fell, and this was the actual top of the plant, and it broke off. And a few months later, it's rooted quite well in this little pot, and as you can see, it has a new leaf here, and this is a new leaf, and it's pushing out another new leaf, and this one is doing okay. And as a consequence of this top being broken off, it's actually got 3 side branches coming out. Now, let me put the little label back because, memory is memory. Here's another little ficus, which is doing quite well. I think this is Audrey. This is ficus something something Audrey. It's just in a normal little plastic pot. It's by my south-facing window. And let me hear where are. It's a Ficus bengalensis, also known as a Ficus Audrey. It's okay. I just pot it up every now and then. Okay. Golden pothos, of course, it starts at the top and goes all the way down more or less to the floor. Hiding in here is Dracaena marginata. Okay, it's doing okay up there. There's another Mandula pothos up there, but this one's hanging down. This one up here is, now we have to go back for this one. That is my Ripsalis paradoxa. And look at it, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, hiding in here is a all green snake plant. Can't remember its exact name, but it's the one from Hawaii. It's growing okay. Another plant that I bought recently, and it's here. It's in pon with the sphagnum moss on the top, and I can see that it's just starting to push out a new leaf here. And this is my Anthurium vitarifolium, the strap leaf one, which looks like a belt. Okay, it's a bit haggard, bit of damage there, but we'll see what happens with the new leaves. Up there is a hanging version of Monstera adansonii. It's sort of growing everywhere. I don't really like adansonii. I tried growing one on a moss pole, but it was extremely slow and the leaves didn't get bigger and bigger as it grew up. It got smaller and smaller. And there's a Syngonium red arrow growing here. Beautiful. It's actually growing quite well for me up there. And it faces south. Hiding in my little jungle here is this... here we go. Look, you can just barely see it there. It's growing well. It's this epiphyllum anguliger, this fishbone cactus. You know, everybody has these. It's a succulent. It likes it in the south window. And here is my neon pothos. It's growing extremely well. It likes it there. So, no problems. Here we go. Another Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema Amazon something or other, Amazon Silver. I've had this since the 20th of September 2023. It likes it here. It gets a little bit less light, but the window is very close here. And when the sun is more or less in the west, it gets a little bit of bright light. Very nice, very nice. My Marantha, can't remember the variety of it, but as you can see, the leaves are turning to face the window, and I don't mind that at all. This is an Alocasia cuculata, sometimes called Buddha's palm or Buddha's hand. It had a lot more leaves when I bought it, but it does like this little spot here. It had spider mites, and we'll get back to the spider mites in a minute. Now, this plant here, this one here, this little thing here, which at the moment I've got it on a stick, but I'll give it a pull. This was also on Memo's channel as something to buy. It's a Monstera pinnatipatita, Silver Queen. And these leaves here are these are the juvenile leaves. When this plant grows up, the leaves get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually the leaves are like a Monstera deliciosa leaves, but not round, but more vertical. So these are the juvenile leaves, recommended by Memo. Let's buy it. This is my Ficus giganteum variegata. Very reasonably slow growing, but you know, it's got beautiful variegations on these leaves, and it doesn't mind this southern facing window. There's my Ficus teneki. As we all know, ficuses like to be like next to the window, especially if it's a south facing window. And this little thing here, this is, oh God, I have to find the label. It's a cupria something or other. This one here. This is a cupria rosea. It's also called an autograph tree. Bought this from IKEA in April of this year. It's often grown in near the seasides as a hedge. I actually have sprouted some seeds of a variegated form of this cupria, but all the little plantlets now sort of got like juvenile leaves, and they're all green, so they might turn variegated once it starts putting out adult leaves. Here is the third plant that I picked from Memo's recommendations. This is a Philodendron Burl Marx variegated, and it's very nice. It's acclimating to its new spot, but it's fine. It's doing okay. Now, here's my birthday plant that I bought myself. This is my Monstera Thai constellation, which I bought from, where did it come from? Italy, I think. Wasn't local. Anyway, this leaf, this one here, was emerging when the plant arrived a month and a bit ago. It already had these two leaves. This one was emerging, partly emerged. And I noticed today, if we can find on the back of the plant, oh God, I noticed, here, looky. It's pushing out a new leaf, and I can see it's going to have a lot of variegations in there. Love it. And not too bad if when I got it, it was more or less finishing to push out this leaf. A month and a bit later, there's another new leaf coming out. So I'm very, very happy with that. Very happy with that. Down here, I have Philodendron gloriosum. I had very nice big leaves in my old apartment on this plant, and it was growing very nicely, rambling along the pot, and it got spider mites. So I chopped it back, and this is one of the props, new leaf coming out there. This is another prop which I recently took out of my prop box, and it has another new leaf coming out. So I'm going to leave it in this pot until it reaches the edge and wants to go into a long horizontal pot. But, yep. And, of course, what are the leaves doing? They're facing the south window. Now, here's another Alocasia. This is an Alocasia pink dragon. When I bought it at a supermarket, the label actually said Alocasia amazonica. Well, it's not amazonica because it's got very light shades of purple on the back, but the stems are pink. It has one of its children here, and another. I can see another child putting out a leaf there. The leaf shape is completely wrong for an Alocasia amazonica. So, but I like this one. I like the amazonica. The leaves are a little bit darker, but it's more zigzag, jagged edges, ruffled edges. But I like this one, and I have lots of its children scattered all over the place. And here's another Alocasia. This one is, I think it's from New Guinea. Let me see. Yes, it's an Alocasia wentii, also known as a Gottii. It's a New Guinea shield. Now, it will eventually have to be repotted because it will have very, very, very big leaves. And sadly, look at that. This is my Alocasia zebrina. What you see are the results after a red spider mite attack. I think these are some of the oldest leaves, nice big leaves. And you always know, you can first notice spider mites because in this spot here, you will see webbing. And like in here, you'll see little webs, spider webs, and sometimes you see the little red spider mites running around. So if you ever see where the leaves sort of meet in these little corners, see some webbing in there, be prepared because it's probably spider mites. And it gave some of the other Alocasia spider mites. So they all went into the shower. They were all hosed off, both sides of the leaves. And then I used a mixture of water, neem oil, and a little bit of dishwashing soap. But I'm hopeful that it will send out it has got a new leaf there. Hasn't fully formed yet, but the older leaves, a little bit too damaged by the spider mites. But I don't have any spider mites at the moment on any of my plants, and I don't have any mealy bugs anywhere, especially on my Alocasias. Oh, and I have one more plant that I haven't shown you in this living room. Not one that I have a lot of luck with. This is this Chinese money plant or whatever it's called, a Pilea peperomioides. Well, it's here. It's been growing since November 2022, and I use the term growing very loosely. I've never, ever, ever had success with pileas. So the fact that this is still alive after about a year, I'm quite surprised. Anyway, that's my plants in my lounge room, dear friends. So now, they are right next to my, well, and go back, if I don't fall anywhere. Go back. They are, a lot of them are right up next to the south-facing window, and I don't actually draw the curtains. There's sort of a darkish sheer curtain there. All the south-facing windows I leave wide open to the sun. As I said, I moved in the first few days of August, so they had a hot month, bright sun, and I more or less have no damage to any of the plants. No sunburn, no sun stress, no sun damage, no nothing. So they must like it here. And then none of these plants that moved here with me, none of them were used to being right up next to a south-facing window. As you can see, there's 2 mother grow lights here. I've actually just put them on the floor at the moment. They're usually standing on the little stool, and they're there for my, I switch it on at night and give them about 6 hours of light, bright light, before they all go to sleep until the morning. So that's basically it for my indoor plants. And now, as a bonus, I'd just like to give you some info on my Hoyas. Okay, I'm back in my seating position on my little stool here. And Hoyas. I have some new Hoyas. I bought them, just put them down here. Anyway, one of them is this one. Lovely. I bought 3 cuttings of this plant. It's from Hoya Passion in Poland. Bought 3 cuttings, and this is a Hoya David Cummingii. Now, don't you dare call it a Cummingii, because it's named after a person. It's David Cumming, and the 2 eyes on the end of a plant's name usually means it refers to the name of the person that discovered it or created it. So his name is David Cumming, and the plant is called David Cummingii, not Cummingii. But the cuttings this time from Hoya Passion were wonderful. I got 3 cuttings of this one, and they are all the way down to the bottom of this alluvial stratum. And this particular stem has a peduncle here, and it has a peduncle there. And it does have a peduncle somewhere down there. It had 3 peduncles on it. So, I've only had it for about a week, but I'm hopeful that this will turn out to be a very lovely plant, and I know that the flowers are lovely. One other new Hoya that I have, finally, at last, also from Hoya Passion in Poland, arrived very quickly. Because the weather was turning a little bit coolish, I think I ordered UPS express delivery, so it came very fast. I think that's what I did. But it's just a standard Hoya Bella. This time I only got 2 cuttings, because there are only 2 left. And once again, they were very, very long. The cutting goes all the way down to the bottom of this fluvial stratum. And can't see any roots yet, but I've only had it for less than a week, I think. But I thought, well, it's time I had a normal Hoya Bella. I would have loved 3 cuttings, but I'll be quite happy, because it does branch out. It hasn't been in here very long. It's not showing any new growth or anything, but it's alive and it's well. Now, in one of my earlier ones, I did talk about the Hoya Bella Louis Bois, the one that's inner variegated, which I showed you, which was a very, very sad plant. It was all floppy and droopy and oh dear. So I transferred that to alluvial stratum in a cup like that. and put it in my prop box. And wouldn't you know it, the next day it had plumped up. It was, as they say, standing erect, the stem, and it's put out 2 new leaves, which are just now changing from, the inner variegation is changing from pink to creamy white, and it has 2 new leaves just starting to poke their little noses out. So I've got a lot of hope that my Bella Louis Bois will recover, rehabilitate, and this time I'm going to leave it in the prop box for a long time before I transfer it to pond. So now I'll have 2 Hoya Bella species. Just a quick update, because you're all wondering what's happening with the Hoya Silver Dollar. It's in pon, and look, it's got, this is the original leaf. This leaf had come out. It has 3rd leaf, and way down there somewhere there's a 4th leaf sticking its just about there. Oh, you won't see it, it's so small. It's just about there somewhere. So it has a 4th leaf coming out. I don't know what these marks are on the leaves. They sort of appeared, but anyway, it's alive, it's well, it's got a growth point, and it's got 2 more new leaves pushing out. Very happy with it. Well, should be. It wasn't cheap. Now, my mystery Hoya, which I asked you before, in my previous one, the video. Hoya carnosa albo marginata. Marginata. And I posed the question, is this the same as the Crimson Queen? And look, it's got 2 new leaves coming out, and they're pink, and a new growth point here, which is pink, and at the top, more leaves coming out. Growth points are pink, new ones. New leaves are sort of slightly pink, a little bit like the Crimson Queen. But I did some research online, and yes, the Hoya carnosa albo marginata is a separate species from the Hoya carnosa Crimson Princess, or Crimson Queen. Yeah, Crimson Queen, sorry. Don't want to mix the princess with the queen. So, this is not a Crimson Queen, it's an albo marginata, a separate species. So, no confusions. And that's basically it, my dear friends. I just wanted to keep you updated on some of the other plants that I have that are not Hoya. But every time I watch someone's channel on YouTube, I see another nice Hoya, etc., etc. And I wish someone would make a video on all the types of, give me at least 20, 30 types, species of Hoya that will grow in room conditions, provided it gets enough light, enough humidity, watering is okay, etc., etc. Because, as you know, I don't have any grow tents, I don't have any IKEA cabinets, and I don't intend having them because I don't have anywhere to put them, and it's going to spoil all my interior design, and they're going to look horrible. No, that have to do with room conditions. Okay, give it light, water, ventilation, etc., etc. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have pressed subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Press like. And I have just moved quite a few of my outdoor plants inside. Some of my citruses have come inside. My brugmansia has come inside, which is sometimes known as an angel's trumpet, but I've got a pink flowering one. I've got a dragon fruit cactus, which is coming in tomorrow because there's sub-zero temperatures coming and frost's coming, so it's coming inside. So, there's lots of things happening, and they're not the only plants. There's a clivia that's come inside, a huge clivia, which is taking up a lot of room. But hey, I've got a guest bedroom that has a south-facing window where my Hoyas live, and there's a lot of room next to the stands that the Hoyas are on for all these pots that are coming in to spend the cold season inside before spring arrives next year and they all go back outside. So, loved having you with me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. And as usual, all I can say is subscribe, like, and ciao. See you next time. Bye.